Hi, hi to all of you who've joined in. Waiting for a couple of more minutes and then we'll start. And I am also trying to, okay, the first live video. So naturally, lots of hesitations as I wrote even in my Instagram post and everywhere else that I've been hesitating uh, to do a live video for a while. And I think I also wrote that on the YouTube post. Okay, hi everyone. Hi Vikram. Hi Chandni. Hi Anita. So I also wrote on my Instagram post, on my YouTube post that I've been hesitating to do a video YouTube live because the fear that we have, right? That what if people don't join in? What if I'm not able to pull the crowd? So I think that fear kind of always has pulled me from doing any sort of live sessions on social media because social media is all about numbers. But the as I also mentioned in my YouTube post, the other part of it is the fear, right? For how long can it control us? For how long is it going to pull us away from opportunities and doing things that we should be doing? So keeping that in mind, I thought, go for it. Whether people join in or not, just go for it. So another minute, and I'll start talking about why this YouTube live session and uh, and everything about my work. Hmm, okay, this is good. All right, all set. Okay, so let's get started. The reason behind starting the live session was that I've been posting videos for a while. It's been close to 5 to 6 years, though intermittently, but I've been in the last 2 years, I've been pretty consistent in making videos for everyone, and I just keep receiving so much love from all my viewers and those especially who comment on the videos. And those who comment on the videos and share such positive feedback, and not only that, they also share how they are truly benefiting from the work I'm putting out. So I've I don't think it's only you who's encouraged by the work I put out, but it's also me who's encouraged by seeing how determined you are towards personal development. So I think that has kept me going on the YouTube platform for a while, and I intend to do this for a longer time. Uh, the reason for the live session is that when you make videos, when you're in that creative process, you oftentimes forget to understand the pulse of your audience and the people. And I've attempted that once or twice where I've reached out to all of you to know what kind of sessions, what kind of work do you expect from me, what kind of videos do you expect from me, what topics would you like me to cover. So it's very important for me to know what works for my audience. And I think I wanted to use YouTube live as a platform where I can talk about where you and I can together talk about what else to expect from Shreya TV. uh, when I started this channel in about in I think 2014 is when I officially started putting out videos. The idea at that time was just to have some presence on YouTube because YouTube was coming up, and that was something that was a valid platform where your presence should be there. So honestly, that was my only agenda, that I wanted my work to also go on YouTube. But I didn't look at it as a medium or a channel to connect with people. I never thought that it could be a medium for me to showcase my work to all those people who need to know mm, what personal development means. I never looked at it like that. So which is why I think my work at that time was pretty intermittent, one off videos once in few months I would just put out. But it's only in the last few years when I started doing a lot more private coaching work, a lot more individual coaching. And that's and when real clients, real working professionals reached out to me with real problems, I realized that if it is their problem, I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of other people out there who could also be facing a similar problem. So then I felt responsible towards all those who need to work on their confidence, who need to work on their presence, their personality, their social behavior, their conduct. And I think when I started approaching Shreya TV with that intention, I just started enjoying the creative process of putting out videos. And if you've seen some of my work in the last few years, the kind of videos I've put out are on everyday struggles and challenges that working professionals and also non working professionals face in general. Primarily things around confidence, things around what will people think of me, a question that keeps haunting us. And as I talk about it, the question haunts me as well. What will people think of me if I do this? A lot about body language and voice. Recently, I made a series of videos on voice, how to speak, how to initiate conversations when you don't have to talk about technical stuff. Mm, uh, so a lot of people, a lot of my clients tell me that I'm very good at what I do technically, but when it comes to speaking about non-technical stuff, I am not that confident. So how can I do that? So in the last few years, whatever queries I have received and whatever client coaching I have done, I have laid out that work on YouTube as well. Because as I said, the intention is to reach out to as many people as possible, and I think it has ticked, only because of the kind of response I receive from all those who watch my videos, and they tell me how it has greatly benefited them. So the plan for Shreya TV now is to continue making videos for primarily working professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs, where I talk about everything to do with their personality and their presence and their social skills. So things that are not openly discussed from a young age, things that are not spoken about in schools and colleges, things that parents and teachers and friends don't consider worthy enough. But it's only when we enter the corporate world we realize that, oh, I also had to take care of this. I also had to learn how to speak in a crowd. I also had to learn dressing. I also had to learn how to be more presentable and confident even when I'm not. So the agenda of the channel is pretty simple. I want to talk about the stuff that is not taught to us before we reach the corporate world. And I would love for even the youth, the younger working professionals, or somebody who's aiming for a job, to subscribe to this channel and watch videos so that they don't waste a lot of time. So one thing that has always happened is when my clients reach out to me, they have reached a stage in their career where they have ample work experience. They have been out there, but they're pretty disturbed when they reach out to me because they feel a sense of urgency to work with me, because they've either received a feedback from their management or their bosses about how they need to work upon certain aspects of their personality, or they have lost opportunities. And I think that is worse, when people lose opportunities and then they have to hire me. I just feel I too feel that tension a lot more along with them. So I would love a lot of youth and the newer generation to also watch videos that I put out, so that they don't feel the sense of urgency when they're working on their image, when they're working on their presence and personality. It should become a very organic process for them to not only build their technical skills as they move forward in their career, but also work on their the softer aspects, as they say. I First of all, I somehow have never related to the word soft skills. I think they're truly hard skills. Starting a conversation, let's say doing a YouTube live, is hard skill for me right now. It's really not soft at all. So I don't know the reason behind the terminology soft skill. If you know, please let me know. uh, but yeah, it's really. So the other thing that has also encouraged me to do YouTube videos is that there has been a great sense of awareness around executive presence across industries. So I have, in the last 8 years, I've had a good opportunity of working with professionals across industries, and pretty diverse, right? Right from somebody who's a fashion entrepreneur or fashion stylist, or somebody who works for a retail company, to somebody who's in manufacturing, to somebody who is in aircraft manufacturing, etc., or oil industry, or software and IT. So it has been a good experience for me also to know and realize that everybody, despite the kind of work they do, irrespective of whatever work they do, good or bad, they need to work on their image and their personality. So I think it's a good time to quickly refresh and let everybody know the kind of work I do, even though I keep talking about it in each video. But life is different, right? So well, when I started this journey, my work was all about helping people improve their wardrobe and dress better, because that's what I had mostly learned as when I did my certification in image consulting. And I started, that was around 2011 and 12. So since I had mostly learned about dressing, I only knew how to talk about dressing. And I tried to attract clients who would seek wardrobe sessions from me. But then once you throw yourself out, right, you never know who you are attracting. And good for me now, but bad for me at that time, people started reaching out to me for sessions on confidence, on personality development, on self-esteem, on how could they be better managers, better leaders. And that was I used to feel burdened, that okay, I have to address them, but I am not skilled enough. How will I deal with them? So I remember the first 2 years of my practice, I was really under pressure to quickly learn, open books, and then coach. Learn, open some books, and coach. So it wasn't a very pleasant experience because I didn't know a lot of stuff. I had to first learn and then impart, and that just made me feel like a hoax for a while. But then I quickly realized that coaching and training business is like that. You are always learning and you are always imparting. There's never a time where, and there shouldn't ever be a time where you only and only keep learning as a trainer or as a coach, or only and only keep imparting. It has to be a blend of these two. So when I understood that, I started embracing my work, and that's when I diversified my portfolio, so to say. So from wardrobe and styling, I slowly started moving towards body language. I studied body language, I studied voice, I studied social skills, I did courses on social psychology, I formally studied counseling psychology. Since I don't come from a psychology background, it was very difficult for me to find colleges which would help me, do something credible in the field of psychology. But gladly, I found some colleges in Bangalore, and I studied counseling psychology because here I was trying to work with people and change their image and work on their confidence without having any background in psychology. So then I studied counseling psychology in 2017. And since then, my portfolio has expanded. And but expansion, sometimes we get overboard, overwhelmed. So I see a lot of us, we just keep doing a lot of things. So then I had to consciously stop and pause, and I realized that okay, now I do wardrobe, I do body language, I talk about voice, I talk about confidence, I talk about public speaking. I think no more than that. I shouldn't go beyond this because then I'm going to be all over. I mean, I can't keep addressing all sorts of concerns because I'm not qualified enough to talk about everything. So now, Shreya TV and my work that I do as in Your Image and I is all about helping people enhance their executive presence, meaning somebody who is a working professional in any capacity, or somebody who is who actively deals with people, let's put it that way. Whoever has to deal with a lot of people, I work with those people on areas of their presence, their personality, their social behavior and conduct, their public speaking and presentation skills, and everything else that revolves around all of this. So that's the clear intention of going forward with my work. I thoroughly enjoy working with working professionals. I do receive inquiries here and there from people who are not in an active working space, and sometimes I just feel sad that I have to turn down the opportunities of working with them. But with work like mine in coaching and training, it's very important that you have a place where you can go and practice what I do. So, like, even in my YouTube videos that you see, I'm always sharing tips, right? I'm sharing 3 tips to, or 3 techniques to work, let's say, on your hand gestures, 3 ways to sound more confident. I talk about, 3 vocal exercises that can help you sound assertive, how to look assertive, leadership. So I'm always giving tips and techniques with an assumption that you are going to go and practice them live in a space. You're going to first try them out at home, and then you're going to go and do that in front of an actual audience, because that's how you feel the push, right, to do. You get motivated when you receive feedback and when people encourage you and people like what you're doing. But if you don't have an active place to perform, it doesn't really motivate you beyond a point. So I've worked with people who are not actively in a working space, and when we did sessions for them, they didn't know where to go and practice, and then things didn't work out very well, which is why I've always stuck to working professionals. uh, so a couple of new people have joined in, and hello to everybody. Hello Vicky, hello. I will just say thanks for joining in, everyone. Anita says that she's always learned from my sessions. Thank you so much, Ani. Thank you for the appreciation. I think as a YouTuber, or in general as a content creator, the most fulfilling feeling for us is you when people say that I learn from what you say. I I learn from your tips. They are relatable. So I think the biggest compliment in my work that I've received is people tell me that your tips and techniques are more relatable. We can just quickly go back and implement them. So let's now. I want to take this opportunity to talk about a couple of things that people are facing these days in the times of COVID. How work has changed. How our ways of working have changed. Um, uh, sure. I will get back to some messages and questions here. Keep them coming. So, uh, I want to talk a little about what corporate professionals are facing these days when I speak to some of my clients and I speak to uh, you people in the industry, my training fraternity members, and everybody. So, one big challenge that people are facing these days is they are overwhelmed and burdened, so to say, with being productive, because there is not a clear demarcation between the personal life and the work life anymore. Anyway, we were struggling with that in a country like India, where work hours have to be insane, and now we are expected to be always present at work. So one concern that professionals are facing these days is, how do I be presentable all the time, because I am overworked, I am overburdened. So that's number one, and I would love to talk a little about that. And the other thing that they are saying is that, mm, I have not been so used to being on screen and speaking to clients or speaking to my colleagues or bosses, and that connection, that face to face connection, because it's missing, it's very it's getting difficult for me to create an impact in front of people, knowing that we are not in the same place. So I think these are primarily the challenges that working professionals are facing. I would love to know from you as well, if you have any specific questions around what challenges are you facing at work post COVID, and how are things getting difficult for you? Um, so Vicky asks, waiting for more videos from you, which helps our life to improve. Absolutely. Hi, Elise, Francis, new people who joined in. Yeah, absolutely. So, the videos that I put out, in a way, help people in their lives as well. I should share with you that I don't have the exact statistics and data, but out of most of the clients who've reached out to me for purely professional reasons, in the sense that they wanted to work on their professional life, or they wanted to improve their professional life, something to do at work, when we dug deeper and when tried to understand who they were and their life, invariably there was something personal coming in the way. maybe because family life wasn't organized, relationships weren't really healthy. So those have had somewhere, in a way, an impact in their executive presence as well. Lifestyle changes, the person has not been fit or healthy for a while, the person has been not sleeping very well, or the person has not, the eating patterns have been disrupted. Things like those as well have directly impacted work. So I have never believed that work and personal life are completely separate. I mean, there's a yes and no to it. I always feel there's a blend somewhere. We are always impacted in our personal life when work is not doing well, and vice versa. So yes, Vicky, couple of videos I specifically made on mental wellness and life related videos, general wellness and life. I made few of those videos, and maybe I should be making more of those as well. So yeah, coming back to the challenges that working professionals are facing these days. And yesterday I was addressing a group of MBA students who are going to look out for jobs in the future. And this, so they said this, yes, ma'am, presence is such a big task now, because earlier anyway it was a problem, and now we know that we are not sitting in front of the person. They don't have the opportunity to know us in person, and how are we going to build that connection? So if you've seen some of my videos also, I will maintain that connection cannot be built just by our choice of words or our qualification or our professional credibility. Connection with people is built when we show an intention to build connection, and intention can be displayed more non-verbally than verbally. And I always talk about that in my work, and I would talk about that now as well. That it has to be, your body has to speak to people when you are speaking. It cannot be one or either, because we are built, humans are naturally built that way. Our hands are supposed to talk when we are giving a pitch or to clients, or when we are trying to explain about the product that we have recently built, or the new business strategies that we are talking about. If we don't really use our hands, or if we don't really use our voice to sound convincing, to sound influential, to sound approachable, it is going to be very difficult. And I think that's a lot of burden on our words. You're just putting unnecessary burden on your words and your sentence construction to do all the work. It shouldn't do all the work. It should have always been a balance of that. So I think in a nutshell, it uh, on-screen presence is actually easier to create rather than in-person presence, I would say, because uh, all you have to do is be ready with your subject, be thorough with what you want to say, look good, be groomed. At least the top half of the body, the torso must be visible, the hands must be visible, you should be dressed well, you should be really neat, and then have an intention to share with people, share whatever that you want to, not only through your words but also through your body language. I think when you do that, uh, things are going to work in your favor. I think there are a few questions that I would love to take now. So I always hesitate in saying what I want to openly in a gathering or on social media, as I'm always apprehensive how others will take my comment. Correct. Yeah, so absolutely, Anita. I think this is such, it's so human for us to hesitate to say things that we really, really want to say. I think there has to be a sweet spot, there has to be a balance. You want to pick and choose how you want to say that thing. So I always feel what is going to give you more peace, because it's very individual specific. All of us have different personalities. What is going to give you more peace? By not saying that thing altogether and staying quiet and coming back home, is that going to make give you more peace? Or saying that thing in a way that does not hurt others, is that going to give you more peace? Chances are the latter is going to give you more peace. Now the bigger question then becomes, how do I say what I want to openly without hurting others? So I think that apprehension largely comes from, what if I hurt other people's sentiment? What if they don't like what I've said? What if they think badly of me, or I just end up miscommunicating my message? So again, the word that I'm going to use right now is being assertive. I talk so much about assertion, and it is a an adjective that has become like my constant. It's become my go-to mantra for pretty much anything in life, because it's quite a savior. When you want to say something in a crowd, you really want to be sure of your agenda. Why are you saying this to the other person? Why should you be putting that comment out? That internalization and that process has to be pretty quick. You need to talk to yourself pretty quickly and decide why should you be saying this. Once you're sure of why are you saying what you need to, I think half the, as they say, battle is won. And the other half is all about how do you put it across in a way that your point is well taken, uh, and you don't end up offending people. Now, chances of offending people are mostly when we are arrogant, or when we are aggressive about our thoughts, our opinions. When you don't sound aggressive about your opinion and rather curious about, knowing their point of view and also adding your point of view, I think that's when we might not end up uh, hurting people or offending people, and that way the hesitation is going to eventually go away. So hesitation goes away, first of all, it doesn't ever go away. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't ever go away. The most seasoned people, the most seasoned communicators, speakers are hesitant and will always be hesitant before any new project or assignment or speaking gig. So hesitation should be there. I think what we need to learn is how to deal with the hesitation as we go on in our lives. So I think with practice, by attempting and trying to speak your mind in a mature way, is going to eventually help you not hesitate, or hesitate less, or deal with that hesitation in the moment better. Next question is, I would like to know, has COVID made any difference to your curriculum, and what do you think youngsters in general should do to tide away through these absolutely difficult times? Yes. So, yes, I have spoken about this previously also. COVID has had a huge impact even in my professional life, just like so many other people out there. And I remember I've also said that in my Instagram story once, that I've always been so used to meeting people and working with people, or most of my working life, I've always met people, especially because those who could visit me in Bangalore, I would love to meet them. And we always did in person sessions. And corporate trainings, you have to be present in live. When COVID happened, all my assignments fell apart, one after the other, after the other. Everything went for a toss. And not that people didn't want to, but the situation was such. So I had to quickly change my strategy. Even though it took me 2 months, I was pretty down in dumps for 2 months, thinking, okay, everything has fallen apart. So curriculum, in the sense, has changed. Yes. Uh, In-person sessions used to be a lot. So I'm still doing one-on-one coaching with people, and that format stays as it is. I haven't changed that at all. My one-on-one coaching format is the same. The only difference now is that I am moving towards more mini or capsule trainings, and I've started working on mini training content, so that whatever I took, 10 sessions to say, can I put out that into trainings and mini trainings, and can I give away that to people, and they don't even have to pay that much? Because honestly, one-on-one coaching is relatively a little more expensive than, buying a capsule course or a mini course. So in that sense, yes, my curriculum is taking a massive change now, where I have to be a lot more precise, crisp, and to the point, and give utmost value to people when they purchase short courses. So the plan is to come up with more and more short courses. One is already going to be out, which is on how to speak like a pro and how to be a good public speaker, whether in business meetings or otherwise. Vicky, please suggest how to balance professional and personal life nowadays. Yes, absolutely, Vicky. And work pressure and tension in mind continues even after work time, or even after everyone's work time. I think, Vicky, that you're right. I did address this briefly earlier. That work-life balance has gone for a complete toss, and I think. you need to look for opportunities as a very conscious professional to let your management know when you are reaching the stage of burnout. I think we need to approach this from a more humanistic approach rather than oh no, I can't work right now. So rather than looking at it purely objectively, I think you need to listen, and all of us need to listen to our own body right now and our mind. Like yesterday evening, I just completely shut down. I had 3 to 4 pending tasks, and some of them are still pending, and I knew that this live is coming up, and anyway that burden was there, what will happen if people will join in, etc. But I just didn't want to work. I kept pushing myself in the evening, there was nothing much to do, but I just didn't want to work because I had to listen to my burnout, and I was burning out mentally yesterday, and I had to listen to myself, and I had to say that not tonight, I cannot work tonight. Anyway, I'm an early riser. I can wake up in the morning and finish off the task, but not right now. So I think respecting your own calling and your need of the hour is the way to go forward. And I always believe once you respect your own lifestyle and once you respect your own needs, people around you also start respecting how important that is to you. Just by observing you, how important things are to you, they naturally start respecting that. And the same holds true even in professional life. If at any point you feel that it's getting too much and you wouldn't be able to work beyond a certain time, you have to very assertively let people know that it is beyond you right now. What's the point of you just being there and not being productive? You'd rather put in 10x productivity in the least possible time. Now I understand that's not practical for a lot of us, but I think Vicky's short answer would only be to show your humanistic side to people and let them know that it's getting too much, and you listen to yourself so that people listen to you. Okay, grooming. So Lizzie Francis says grooming is always last in my checklist. I emphasize on all other things. And again, but grooming takes the last place. I feel bad about it. Please help me to overcome things. Yes, I understand. And I think it's gotten even worse now with a lot of us working from home. So there's absolutely no motivation to really groom. And so, okay, I'll put it this way. um, to bring in any sort of a change, you, let's say you want to work on your grooming, you want to change this habit that you don't groom very well. I think to bring in any sort of a change in our lives, there has to be an emotional reason to bring that change. And I'm also telling this from personal experience, and just by watching a lot of leaders and highly accomplished people talk about their work, and I think this is true. So if there's any change you want to bring in, you'll have to know why you really want to bring in that change. And if there is not enough emotional reason for you to change, chances are you're not going to sustain those changes. So, and that's the bitter side of being human, right? You have to be emotionally involved. I give an example to people that there are two people who want to lose weight. One person who wants to lose weight because everybody in their community is losing weight these days on their Instagram and their social media. All they see is their friends and family and neighbors and everybody getting fitter. So maybe they need to do that. The other person who wants to lose weight is because they have faced extreme body image issues, they have severe self esteem issues, they have either received a bad comment or something hurtful, or they themselves medically feel unfit, because of which they need to lose weight. Chances are that the latter person is going to be more emotionally invested in losing weight. Hence, this person is going to be able to sustain a change that they try to bring in. So, coming back to grooming, I think you need to ask yourself, does that really impact, not grooming, does it really impact you, your productivity, and those who deal with you? If the answer is to any of these is yes, then I think it's good enough a reason to start working on your grooming. Now that you've reached a stage where you want to groom better, uh, start with something that is absolutely practical and doable. I think a lot of times we hesitate bringing changes because there's an idea of perfection around, okay, so if I have to groom, it has to be a certain person. Like, we have to, we always have this mental image of somebody in our mind being groomed or somebody in our mind being fit. And very subconsciously, we want to be there. So we we don't even tell this to ourselves, but we set that benchmark. So I would urge you to please let that image go away for a while, let it rest, take a back seat, but really think about starting small. As the cliche goes, start really really small, because these tiny steps and these tiny wins, the small wins as they say, are far more gratifying in the initial stages of our life than an immediate big change. So try that. Hopefully that will work. Few more questions. Archana says, hi, sometimes when people pass on a mean or sarcastic remark, I just go blank and have nothing to reply. How to react in such situations? Absolutely, Archana. I think for most of us, we are pretty unprepared to receive a sarcastic or a mean comment, especially when we don't intend to speak to people like that. And this is a concern for most of us who, in general, don't use sarcasm in our conversation. Because we don't use it, it is very difficult for us to accept the sarcasm that we are receiving, and we are not prepared to deal with it. The only thing that works here, Archana, is uh, okay. So at that, if I say that you need to be spontaneous, I don't think it's going to work. But ideally, being spontaneous is the way to be present in that discussion. However, one thing that has worked very well for me when somebody has been really mean and sarcastic to me is when I have flipped the sarcasm to them and become more curious and ask them, hey, what makes you say that about me? Because when somebody is really being nasty or mean to us, chance their agenda to do that is just to be hurtful or just to win in that moment. And that's mostly the case. A lot of times they don't really even feel the need to be mean. They don't really know why they are being mean. So if you can just flip it to them and very curiously ask, hey, but why, what makes you say that I am floppy, or I am, let's say somebody says that you are such a bad performer. It will just take you aback for a second, but you need to be quick to come back and say, really, what makes you say that about me? Because that way you are just opening up, you're putting the ball in that other person's court, and you're you are demanding a logical response. You are trying to be more logical and analytical and really objective, and that puts people in a spot. So that might not help you, that might not get you the ideal answer, but that is going to ensure that you don't sound really, you are participating, you are there. It doesn't make you sound like, oh, we can say anything to her, because if you stay quiet, the next time you will receive it again and again and again. So it's always better to, if sarcasm doesn't come naturally to you, if you don't want to be mean to the person, just be curious and say, what makes you say that about me? Because all this while I was thinking I've done this job very well. So there is something amiss here. And then take it from there. I hope this answers your question, Arjuna. Okay. Thanks for all the answers. I'm so glad people are liking the answers. Chavi says, hi, can you help me understand how to control impulsive reactions, anger? Also, I'm very moody, and how do I keep calm? Oof, yep. This is a big one. How to control impulse and anger? Okay. Um, Okay, Chavi, first of all, I think I want to share the bitter truth first, and then get to the answers. The bitter truth is that somebody who is impulsive, chances are it is wired in their gene to be that way if that person is regularly impulsive. If you observe your patterns, if you've been like this for 10 or more years or 15 years in your conscious adult life, then chances are this is a part of your gene wiring and how you it's in your DNA. So to expect um, to not be impulsive in that moment is pretty unfair as an ask for you, because it is going to have come to you. Your emotions are wired that way. I think before working on how can I not be impulsive, the important work that all of us need to do and we don't do is sitting down with ourselves and trying to unpattern understand or declutter our own behavior, our own patterns, understand what makes us who we are, why are we so emotionally consumed by certain situations, and why are we not so consumed in some other situations. The technical word for it is journaling, and I did make a video on journaling on my YouTube channel some time back, but for some reason it didn't do very well. I should share with you that journaling has personally cured me from a lot of I think these impulse behaviors, in the sense that there has been deep introspection when I journaled. So before you think of working on your anger, on your introspection, I think you need to step back and start journaling and just talk to yourself. Now, why do you need to journal? I want to tell you that as well. Mm, Usually when we are angry or upset with somebody, or when we are impulsive in our reaction, that is usually a response to a lot of unaddressed emotions in our own mind. What does that mean? A lot of trauma has been unaddressed, a lot of feelings have been unaddressed, because of which that impulse comes out. The impulse might be specific to a completely different situation, but the trauma keeps, piling on, and that begins to trigger the anger and trigger the impulse. So which is why things like journaling are so important, because when there are 1000 deeply intertwined thoughts in my mind, it is going to be very difficult for me to approach situations with calmness, with objectivity, with pristine clarity. It's going to be very difficult, because if you open my mind, all you see is 1000 wires entangled, and when these wires are entangled, how do you find which wire do you need for which response? It's like, all these wires are going to connect to different responses, but because all the wires are so badly entangled, you pull out one wire and you give it for that person, that response, and you later realize this was the wrong wire. So just to unwind, just to declutter, just to pull out all these wires one by one, it's very important to journal. Now the first three attempts of journaling are pretty bad, they are terrible, they are pathetic. You don't even know what you're writing, why you're writing, and that is how it should be. So if it is like that, it's good. If you put in an agenda or objective to writing in the first three attempts, you're not going to do a good job. The first three attempts should be absolute free flow. Just begin writing whatever's coming to your mind, because chances are those are the things that are bothering you. Those are the things that are on top of your mind. So if you forcefully tell yourself, "Hey, don't write about that. There's a perfect way of journaling. Do that." That's going to defeat the purpose. So begin writing about whatever thoughts you feel about yourself, about your life, about the people around you, and then you'll begin to realize that journaling is giving you a pattern, Chavi, and then begin to address the most pressing concerns. Like in your case, it is, why am I being impulsive or angry? Maybe you're being impulsive or angry because of some people's lack of, practicality. They are being extremely impractical in their response to you. So, what are the reasons that make you extremely impulsive? I think it's important to address that first, rather than addressing how can I stop being impulsive, because that's not the ideal approach. I hope that really helps. Do let me know, Chavi. Hmm. Yes, Stephen, this is live. Srijan says, could you talk about how to retain your personality while working from home, sitting at home and working, when we often don't focus on the way we look, yes, conduct ourselves, and also have less social interaction? Absolutely. So, Srijan, I did address this previously, and maybe you join me in now. I'll repeat. So, yes, this is hard on us, especially for a lot of us, for whom dressing up and grooming does not come naturally. When it doesn't really come naturally, it is a huge burden and task on us, and I completely agree. Mm, how to retain it? I think the simple thing is to understand. Um, so then, how, when you were going to work, what were the five most important things before you left for work? I think you should address it that way. What were the five things that you would do when you left for work? Maybe you dressed up, you picked up your bag, you put on the diary and whatever stuff, that all the essentials that you needed to. The I think the only way to approach this situation right now is that if all those five things that you used to do made the working process complete, if all these five things made made you psychologically ready to go and tune into work, I think then you should continue doing as many as possible, which also means dressing up. Now, the definition of dressing up has completely changed now, and rightly so. And let it change. If you used to dress up in a certain way when you were going to work earlier, reduce it to 50% now, but still do some of it. Some of it that made you excited to go to work. Whatever used to complete the process of getting to work, please do that. And I think dressing is an important part of that, because we are all psychologically so tuned to dressing up and then going to work. If you rip that aspect from yourself now, I think psychologically you are just telling yourself you are taking. So let's say you have a complete meal, right? You have some rice, you have some roti, you have some pulses and everything. So, and that used to be a salad, so that used to be a holistic meal for you. It's just like you have you've taken away one completely holistic aspect of your meal, and you're expecting yourself to be energetic and full. So that's not going to happen. So dressing has been an important aspect of work life. Don't rip yourself off that, but tone down. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Stephen, working from home. Stephen says working from home initially was very good for me, but now I hardly feel like working. Absolutely, I resonate with you. I've become so lazy. I even forget to take a bath some of the days. How do you overcome this? Ah, yes. Okay. How? That really puts me in a spot sometimes, and I have to, tell people why they should be doing something. Yeah. So uh, I don't know if I can I can push you enough to go and take a bath every day or shower every day, Stephen. But what I can tell you is that I think if there was ever a greater need for us to be kinder to ourselves, the time is now. I think I put a post on my Instagram a couple of days back where I just said I was sending a virtual pat on the back to everybody, and including myself. I was patting my back because I just felt that we are so unreasonably occupied with so much, and to top all of this, social connection is missing. So that very important hormone, oxytocin, that gets released only when we meet people and we build that social connection and we hug people and sit with them face to face and talk. So two three very essential hormones like dopamine and oxytocin have completely reduced. And I think you just need. So humans are born adaptive creatures. We can adapt to anything and everything pretty quickly. So take this as a challenge. All of us are pretty good, and we are pro at taking social media challenges. So why not take this up as a challenge and say, be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, do more of certain things that make you generally feel good about yourself. And if bath is not one of them, you can skip it, once or twice a week, or substitute it with something. Take a sponge bath or do something else. The idea is for you to be fresh and neat, uh, whatever makes you feel fresh and neat, or especially on those days. So try to monitor and channelize, and regulate your emotions. It can't be that every day you don't want to take a bath is the same severity. So monitor your severity. If there are genuinely days where you don't want to look at water, that's when you should not take a bath. But when on days you are pretty okay, and that you have to be truthful to yourself. If you're pretty okay that to stand up, go and just pour in some water, I think go and do that. It's fine. It's never a bad idea to take a shower. Okay. All right. Uh, so Lizzie says, I always believe that grooming is an expensive thing. Is it true? Absolutely not. I don't feel that. I don't believe that. I never propagate that through my words or through my work. Whatever I talk about dressing and styling a lot. I love to do that. Most of my work in dressing and styling and grooming is around sustainability, stuff that lasts, stuff that you can reuse, stuff that requires least amount of time and maximum benefit. So grooming is not expensive unless you want to make it an expensive thing. Again, that perfection bug hits us. And when we think of grooming, we think we have to buy the best, certain branded moisturizers, certain branded combs, creams, beauty products, grooming products, these kind of kits and all. You just have to start with something which you know you will use. So whatever, and I think it's all about how truthful you can be to yourself. So start with one thing, but reach to the finish. If you have purchased something, ensure that you finish it in 45 days or 60 days and use it very well, and then move on to something else. So I think that will be a nice trigger for you to begin the grooming process, but it is not expensive at all. Chavi finds the tips useful. I'm so glad, Chavi. Thank you. Yes. So, how much time it will take? Yashnav, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Vyashnav? You say how much time will it take for one to get good changes in voice by watching my weird vocal exercise videos? Okay, yes. Um, uh, in my coaching sessions, I say that, give it at least 30 to 60 days of practice, consistent practice, because voice is not very easy to change, mostly because people forget to practice. And that's one consistent problem that my clients have faced. They said that, the voice sessions were very effective, we tried, but in the meeting we forgot, because when we had to do it, we completely forgot about it. I forgot that I had to raise my pitch, or I had to go down in my chest voice, or whatever. So I think the only way to do it is, when you prepare for an important meeting, and you should for the next few meetings, just prepare 10 things that you want to say in that meeting. And also in those 10 days, in those 10 tips, things that you want to say, please mention, I also have to speak in my high note, I also have to deep breathe, I also have to do this, and whatever things I talk about in voice. So when it becomes a part of your agenda, when it is listed, when you have it in your to do's, that's when you'll remember to do these. It will take you at least a month of consistent practice to begin to see some sort of a change in voice. But voice is highly underestimated, and we really really need to focus on voice, because a lot of times people, for the kind of inquiries that I have received, by the way, I think I should tell you that the only reason why voice is such an important subject is because of the kind of inquiries I reached from people, where they said that people don't, when I speak I don't get attention, but when my colleague speaks, she or he always gets attention. Or when I speak, I think I sound very immature, I sound very childish, because of the severity of the questions and inquiries I receive around voice. I realized over a period of time how significant this tool is to demonstrate anything that we want to, or project anything that we want to about our image. I hope that answers your question. Samya says, should there be a purpose to journaling? Uh, At a macro level, absolutely yes. At a micro level, it is okay if it is not. I was just addressing journaling some time back, where I said that the first, let's say, 3 attempts, let's put a number to it, it'll be easier. The first 3 attempts of journaling or writing down should not be self monitored or self disciplined, in the sense that if you start policing yourself around, hey, why are you writing this? You're not supposed to write this, only write about this thought, then you're playing with your natural thought process. I believe that the first 3 attempts should just be a free flow, because that is going to become your reckoner to understand what's really going on in your life, in your mind, what thoughts are overwhelming you, bothering you, or if nothing, what are the surfacing thoughts in your life at this moment. So initially, it's okay if you're going all over, but eventually, after 3 attempts, when you begin to see a pattern in what you're writing about and what's bothering you, there has to be a purpose. Because if there isn't a purpose, but you know what, as I'm speaking and thinking, um, what does purpose really mean? I mean, purpose can mean two things. Purpose can mean that there is an objective that I have to meet, and once I achieve this objective or goal, then I have to stop journaling. Or the purpose means that it fulfills me, or it keeps me happy, it keeps me going. So it depends upon what your definition of purpose is. If your purpose is to just be kind to yourself, or be happy with yourself, about yourself, I think journaling for you will go on for a lifetime. But for those who are trying to cure themselves from, let's say, a mental illness or something immediate for which a therapist has recommended them to journal, for them maybe it could be a timed activity for, let's say, 6 months, and there should be a purpose because you want to cure yourself from an illness. I hope that answers your question, Sanya. Shantan says, what do you think about professions where professional success doesn't translate into a huge amount of money, like teaching, etc.? Hmm. Yeah. So uh, I would like to believe that people who choose a profession like teaching or something to do with academics have a very strong inclination and purpose behind choosing that profession, and maybe they are pretty aware of how the economic how the economic success is going to translate into their definition of success. I think those who enter into teaching and academics know why they are getting into it. So I really don't know if I have a personal opinion about if it doesn't translate into huge amounts of money. In a way, it is disappointing for the entire academic and teaching fraternity. In a way, it is disappointing because for the amount of effort that goes into research and eventually, teaching, the amount of effort that professors and teachers together put in is absolutely equivalent to the amount of effort a software engineer, let's say, puts in. And there shouldn't be a comparison really, because these are two very accomplished skills. But the kind of maybe respect, yes, but the kind of economic gratification that teachers get globally, I think, is quite disappointing. And I think there should be something done about that. And unfortunately, I'm somebody who can do nothing about it. And I too belong to an industry where economic gratification is not profound. But I think this is why we enter into this profession, because for us, the gratification is coming from something completely different. While we all love money and we want money, but gratification is coming from something else, and that's far deeper and greater. So yeah, but that was a very nice, different question other than what I'm receiving. So thanks much, Lizzie says, for all the inputs. Would like to know, do you train people on personal grooming, meaning helping in choosing the right kind of clothes, makeup? Absolutely, yes, I do that. I've been a personal shopper for 8 years now, and I still am. It's only in the last 5 months that I have actively stopped going for personal shopping sessions, and now we are making lookbooks for clients, or I'm doing online shopping for those who are comfortable. But yes, I absolutely do personal grooming and shopping sessions, and you should check out my website. I'm going to just put in a comment here, just to see some of the work that I have done for people in the last 8 years as a personal shopper and as a grooming consultant. Do check out some of the makeovers that I do, Lizzie, the before and after makeovers. That'll just give you an idea as to how real the makeover can be. And my makeovers are pretty subtle and real. I don't do very very stark personality changes, because I know people won't be able to sustain that. So Anita says, one more question. Sometimes I put myself in a spot. I dislike refusing to people. Yeah. How do how to do that without hurting the other person? Yeah. So when you want, okay, so when you refuse an offer of for doing something, I think because our focus is towards I'm going to refuse that thing, we just feel more burdened, and we feel we are more inclined towards, okay, I'm going to say no, they will not like it, and we get into that path. Instead of that, you would really want to focus on, okay, you're refusing, but can you say yes to something? Because humans love yes, right? We all love a yes. So if there is a no that you're giving, for every no, try to give a yes to something else that you're most comfortable doing. So if that happens, I think things are going to be easier, and that burden of what will this person think if I refuse, that burden is going to go away. So if somebody, it's a stereotypical example, but if somebody asks me for coffee and I'm completely not in a mood to go for coffee, I or I don't. So I will say, and I don't want to go. So I'll say, yeah, not today, not coffee, but I was thinking, since I'm baking on Sunday, so would you like to join me for a baking class? Let's like do a quick baking activity together on Sunday, something like that. So now you're shifting the focus from what you're refusing, or to what you want to do with that person together, or give them more options, give them four options or three options, that hey, how about a coffee this day, or tea this day, or let's do a baking session together, or let's just go for a walk together. You have to make people so abundant with the possibilities of things that you can do, that they don't eventually think about things that you said no to. Or if you don't like somebody's point of view as well, if you don't like what they say, there's always a way of saying, well, you know what, at the end of it, as they say, we have to agree to disagree. However, one thing I liked about what you said was this. So see how you're taking attention away from what point you differ from, and then also taking attention to the point that you did connect with. So there always has to be something that you are inclined towards, because that will make you a flexible person. So focus on that rather than what you're going to refuse, or that way you will not feel that you've been put on a spot. I hope that answers your question, Anita. Okay, I think that was a very fulfilling session for me, at least. Chavi has one question: how to communicate effectively with people? That is a big question. How to communicate effectively, Chavi? Well, uh, I think a few standard golden ground rules, Chavi, that always work are, number one, that the intention of our message has to be pretty clear. Why we are saying what we are saying. Why do we want to say that particular thing? I think that has to be pretty clear in your head, because the reasoning will become easier for you. It will become effective for you. That's number one. Secondly, you always want to ensure that your intention comes the right way through your voice and your facial expressions. So if you say to somebody that I don't like what you said to me, you have to sound like that person, and you also have to look like that person, or you have to just say it at the right time, that I don't appreciate what you said about me. So I think effective communication also means saying the right thing absolutely at the right time, and not bringing it up much later, because it loses its essence. And I'm a big fan of body language and voice, which is why it keeps coming up as an effective point for me, and it will always come as an effective point for me. So here are some things, Chavi. And lastly, I think what one needs to do is be crisp. And I'm sure we all know this, and we've read about this, that whatever that you need to say to the person, just do a run through of how can you say this thing in the shortest possible time and with least amount of words, so that it leaves greater impact. I think once all of this is done, then we can communicate effectively. Yep. So I am so thrilled, as I was saying, because at the start of the session, I thought, okay, nobody is going to join today, and it would only just be me talking to a screen, which I'm pretty used to. So that was at least a saving grace. I thought, okay, now at least I'm used to speaking to a screen, so I can do that. But I am absolutely, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but I am so humbled, and I truly appreciate your gesture of taking out time on a Sunday to not only listen to a YouTube live from me, but also participate, because it's only you who has made this so fruitful. Thank you so much once again for being such a lovely audience. And you're, as I always say, you are my YouTube family. You are just an extended family, and I love making videos for all of you, and I will continue to do that, because one keeps doing things for family, right? Lizzie has some things to say. How can we polish our language? How to use better choice of words? Can you suggest some books? Sure, Lizzie. I will. Actually, you know what, Lizzie? Uh, I think this is a good time to support somebody who does great work. There is a YouTube channel by the name of Chat. You should also check that channel out, where Chetna, I think the lady's name is Chetna, she talks about language, and she teaches, language tips to people. I think she's a lovely woman. I've never met her, but when I see her presence, it's quite welcoming. So check out some of her work, and I will personally, look through and suggest some of the rightly recommended books to you. Something's not coming to my mind right now, so let me take some time and send you something absolutely worthy. I hope that works for you. Okay, so Chavi says, thank you so much for a beautiful session. I feel so motivated. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for the fact that so many of you asked such lovely questions. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And now I am pumped up to do more of this. So every couple of months, let's do a YouTube live where I get to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.